Now is the time.
Yeah, that was the time, the mystical time. It is also the winter solstice.
When is the winter
Solstice. Wow, I believe it's the 22nd of December, but the Roman calendar moved it to the 25th of December, which is why you have Christmas Day is actually really the winter solstice according to the Roman calendar. But yeah, I quite like most of these, like Christmas, winter solstice, Easter, spring equinox. Although technically Easter is actually the first full moon after the spring equinox, which is why the date keeps changing.
Is that how it's still calculated then? It's not like
it's the same as Passover as well, but it's all basically the spring equinox, which is why you have eggs at Easter, and the actual where you get estrogen. The word estrogen is from Easter. It was the goddess of fertility.
I didn't know that. I used to know about a little bit more about Easter, but over the years I've just completely forgot.
Well, the thing is, I find it fascinating that it's like, why do they call it Easter? Why do we give eggs at Easter? What's that got to do with like religion? So I'm like one of these like an inquisitive mind that's like, okay, and then like obviously back then you didn't all you had was encyclopedias. You wouldn't ever find that in it. Now you've got the magic of Google and the internet.
I was told this was months ago, and I need to speak to the person that told us this, but they told me right that the word dude originates from some kind of racial thing, and I was like, no way. Oh, was it?
No, it wasn't me. No,
no.
it wasn't.
No, it dates back to some kind of racial thing, right? But I have looked into it, and I can't find any link to any racial thing at all, right? So I need to speak with that person again to find out what they actually think. So yeah, the point of me saying that was like, you got to be careful what you read, though, haven't you? There's a lot of stuff that people say, and you could just make anything up, really, couldn't you?
I think that's why we need a disclaimer on the podcast that says facts may not be accurate. Please check.
Facts may not be fact.
As I've said before, like most of my history comes from either watching Carry On films or Blackadder.
I don't think you get any more accurate than that, to be honest.
No.
based on actual events. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, Carry On films, they cover like Cleopatra, Roman, Caesar, and all that, don't they?
Exactly.
Sure, that's pretty accurate. They wouldn't make it up.
Exactly. Anyway, shall we start?
Yeah, we kind of had.
We have, yeah. Welcome. I'm Steve.
I'm Kevin.
And this is Nerds Talk. And today we're going to talk about proper geeky stuff. I should say nerdy stuff because we're cool nerds. And because I wanted to ask you about two things actually, but you went on what did you do? You went on a camp thing.
We got a cheap caravan in Dover. It was, when was it, in November now, I think it was. So it wasn't the best of weather. But I think it was like for Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, it cost £100. And this caravan had like gas central heating in there. It was comfortable. So the weather wasn't great, but we went there, a few of us, just to play games for the weekend and have a few drinks and things.
Yes.
Cool. It was quite a nice little caravan site. Yeah, it was like a nice little village near Dover.
Mm-hmm. I've never done a gaming night. This someone I work with, she said that she wants to do like a gaming night for the whole team, and it sounds really good. But I've never done it, but I'd love
to. Yeah. Well, I mean, the games we kind of play, you need more than just an evening. You probably want to stretch it from the afternoon into the evening, depending on what your tiffle is.
Well, yeah, because like for instance, this Christmas Eve, I got me mum and dad's, the whole family there, and we do games, like board games, like silly games,
yeah,
and that's all fun, but that's not the same though, is it?
No,
like doing Trivial Pursuit. Trivial Pursuit isn't. It's not the same.
If someone breaks out Monopoly, I'm out. No, I will not play Monopoly. I hate Monopoly.
I hate Monopoly too, and I'm forced to play it at least once a year.
I used to enjoy it, but then you realise that all it is like, right, buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it, and it's whoever, like, just everyone buying property. I know that's what the idea of the game, but all it is whoever manages to get Mayfair and a hotel on that. Well, that's it. Game over for everyone. And then the actual premise of it is basically about mortgages and paying rent. And I'm like, that is not a good, interesting premise for a game. Let's play a game where you have to have mortgages and then you can get bankrupt and have to sell your house. Oh, yeah, that sounds great fun, doesn't it? I'm out.
I wish I could say that.
I'd rather play games involving dragons and like quests and things.
Yeah. So, what kind of games do you play then? So, at your gaming
Um,
camp, gaming weekend, like, what did you do?
so so we brought a load of games with us, right? And I think,
Hmm.
right, yeah, we can have a load of games. So my favourite game is a game called Talisman,
Hmm.
which is like a magical quest game. So it's a big board, and the idea is that there's an outer section of this land, an inner and a middle section. And what you've got to do is you move around the board on the outside to build up your strength to get strong enough to start crossing into the center of the board because there's various obstacles in the way. And
Hmm.
you land on a square, like you land in like the graveyard. Draw two cards, so you draw two quest cards, and it might be a monster you have to fight, or it'll be some kind of event thing that, like, oh, the devil has just appeared and makes a deal with you, and he's now made you evil. So then your character becomes evil and stuff like that. It's a really good game. You can actually get a digital version of it as well. But anywho, I digress. Right, so we brought all these games around, but because one of us had bought, like, we're always said we've never played Magic the Gathering, don't understand how you'd even get into it. But he bought like a starter set for Magic the Gathering.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that. So we basically learned Magic the Gathering from this set, and it's like, oh, this is really good. Let's just have another game. Let's just have another game. So we played that mostly, but then we played a lot of this game called Catan. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
That's quite a popular-ish game. It's basically like
Catan.
Catan, yeah, Catan. You have an island and you have to build your empire on that island, like build cities, build roads and stuff like that. But you need to buy resources and mine resources and things, and the other players are trying to like get all these resources and things. So you're kind of working against each other to build your cities up.
Yeah.
So it's
So
basically a resource game.
are there loads of pieces that you use for it?
Yeah, it's like a big island board in
Hmm.
the middle, and then yeah, you've got like, so for example, little houses will represent a city, and then you've got these little blocks that represent the roads that you're building and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And there's like cards as well. You buy, like, the resources will be cards, so you'll have like stone, so you draw a stone card and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's it's not that much. It's not like a fantasy or anything like that. It's just like a gaming like that. It's pretty straightforward, easy to play for anyone that isn't really into the heavy, hard board gaming that we normally do. But
So
so you'd like that, I think.
well, yeah. So with like with those games, do you have to make up the story yourself, or can you follow a script? Or
No, that story is you've just basically all on this island vying for a bit of power. It's not really
all
a
right,
story-based game.
yeah, I know what you mean.
For those, we've got like other games that would take over that. But the other game that we played, and I think you'd like, and I think I mentioned it to you before, it's called Munchkin. It's basically like a
Ah,
card game where you've got to like work against each other, and you go through these dungeons drawing cards and things. And
hmm.
it's done like, you've got like funny pictures of this geezer wearing this potato around, or armor made of like fries, and it'll be like spudded armor instead of studded armor, so it's spudded
Right,
armor and stuff like that.
yeah.
Or you've got like one wearing a helmet that's got an arm hanging out of it, so you've got an extra hand to carry more stuff, and it's called, that bit of equipment is called an army helmet because it's got an arm coming out of it.
Yeah. Well, I've
Uh,
got a game. Which it's silly. It's probably not exactly the same, but I haven't really played it properly. But it's a game called Muffin Time, and it's
I've
another
not
card
heard of that.
game. But um, yeah, it's one of those games where just anything can happen.
Oh.
Um, I can't even describe it properly.
Is
It's
it? a fantasy game, or is it a horror game, or just a?
It's just a really silly game. You draw
Oh.
cards and uh yeah, I think they kind of get you to do tasks and stuff. I'd have to dig it out to
Is it
really
like
find it.
a party game kind of thing? Would you describe that as?
Yeah, more of a party game. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you see,
it kind of like.
I,
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I'm not a massive fan of party games. I like games with strategy.
Yeah,
Each their own.
yeah.
I know Monopoly's got a strategy, but I still don't like that.
It's not much of a strategy though, is it? Because
Buying it, buy it.
no, I mean the thing about Monopoly is I hate Monopoly, and I've been wrestled to the floor to play Monopoly before, and to force us to play. And then last time I played, um, it was earlier this year, but and I was winning, and I completely thrashed her, so I was laughing my head off. So actually, it was really fun, but only because I was absolutely thrashing her. So
Well, that's the luck of
that's
landing on the right property squares as
exactly,
well. Isn't it?
exactly. But yeah, even though I mean we've got several different Monopoly types, and even the kiddies Monopoly isn't that fun. We got a Minions one,
No,
and it's
we've got
okay.
a few. We've got a Simpsons one. I've got a Walking Dead one. And the standard editions. One in the Simpsons ones, you've got credit cards that you can put your cash on and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
just don't like it.
well, I've mentioned this game to you before, but there's a game called Labyrinth, and it's quite an old
Yeah,
game.
I've seen pictures of that actually.
Yeah,
It does look quite good actually. To be
and
fair.
yeah, that's the one way. There is a little bit of strategy to it because you're constantly having to move things around. The other player is also moving things around, so the whole map and the whole all the different routes that you're trying to take to collect items sort of changes. Do you know what I mean? You're always fighting against that, so that one's more fun.
Yeah. There's that's sort of like, I like a competitive game, but other games that we like to play,
Mm,
there'll be like cooperative games where you're all on the same team playing against the game, if you see what I mean.
yeah.
So we've got a few like Arkham Horror
All right.
board game, and it's like you're basically set in 1920s with Cthulhu mysteries, like all like the horrific like alien god things that
Yeah.
these cults are summoning. So you'll have this board that's set up like the setup of the town of Arkham, which is from H.P. Lovecraft, and then you'll all have your little character, and you go along, and there's like a story that unfolds that when you hit certain things, it releases the next part of the story.
Ah.
So you'll have to like, right, let's split up and go there, and you'll have to fight like monsters. And the way you fight the monsters, the game will tell you how that monster fights back. So you don't need someone playing the monsters or anything. The game plays itself, and you will work as a team against the game.
Hmm.
So that's a
Mm.
bit of a different game that's not competitive. It's cooperative. We've got a few games like that. So Arkham Horror. I've got another game called Unfathomable, which is set in the same sort of era, but you're all on a boat, like crossing the ocean. And
Hmm.
then as you're crossing the ocean, you're being attacked by monsters and things, and you've got to keep the boat going. But
Ah.
what happens is there's one of you at one point in the game becomes a traitor. So if you don't know who it is because you'll draw a card, it will tell you you're actually the traitor now. So you don't know who the traitor is. And what happens is you've got to like put resources in together to try and like get the boat going on.
Hmm.
Now, if so, you don't know who's put what resources in, but for some reason, if you fail a task, you know, hang on, someone hasn't put all their resources in. But then you're thinking, well, it might just be because they didn't have enough resources to put in. And
Uh-huh.
then as the game goes on, you're like, you get suspicious about who's the actual traitor here. And then that traitor, when he's revealed, and then he's got a different secret mission to work against the other players.
Ah.
It's a funny game. Beautiful
Yeah.
miniatures you get with it as well. But they're not really kid friendly. I wouldn't have thought the Arkham games.
No, it's funny you say that about miniatures. There's a few people on Patreon who uh make miniatures. Or they design miniatures and they're just
3D
printables.
print. Yeah.
Yeah. No, these are just cards. So
Oh.
I'm sure there are people that do 3D print models as well, but Now there's people that they've got a list of their followers, their patrons follow them and suggest miniatures to create, and then because they're good artists, they draw them in the right format, and people can print them off and, and use them in games.
That'd be more like if you're doing something like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. You'd want
Yeah.
maybe if you want miniatures to place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're someone that uses because the miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons are so expensive, the actual figures.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons, depending on how you play that.
All right.
But the other game that we were playing on our wintry weekend breakaway was a game called Villianous. It's like a Disney game. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
So basically, it's all the villains from the Disney movies,
Yeah.
and you each play a villain, and each of you have got a different objective to complete what you need to do. So you can stop the other players getting their objectives whilst you're trying to work to get your objectives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a really complicated game. I'm not a massive fan of it because I'm not a massive Disney fan, but the others really love it. But there's loads of expansions that you can buy. So you've got the base game, and then you can buy a load of the packs that gives you more villains that you can play. So it's like Talisman. You've got the base game, and then I've got something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 8 expansions to the Talisman game.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a massive, really good game. You'll have to Google it when we finish talking on this. It's an absolute favourite game of mine. It's simple to play. It's got a great setting. The idea is that you basically got to get to the centre of the board to control the realm by getting the crown of command.
Yeah.
And it's a race, basically. Like you can spend ages wandering around, picking cards up, buying different equipment and that. But if another player is getting stronger than you, he gets to the centre before you. And then whoever gets to the centre bit first can start casting spells that starts depleting the lives of the other characters.
All right.
So it gets quite competitive. And there's stuff like one of the expansions I've got on that is like the Grim Reaper expansion. So it brings like the Grim Reaper figure into the game, so that whenever someone rolls a 6, you get to move the Grim Reaper a certain number of spaces, and you can the other players trying to move that to land on one of the other players. And then if the Grim Reaper catches up with another player, you're meant to go, "It's you," in a creepy voice, and then roll a dice. And depending on what number you get on a dice is what happens to your character.
All right. Is there a set ending for if the Grim Reaper gets you?
You could be like, the worst thing that will happen is like your character loses all health and dies, and you've got to choose a new character and start from zero again. But the worst ones are, this is quite funny, is that certain conditions within the game, like if you visit a sorceress, that she turns you into a toad. So you're turned into a toad for 3 turns, which basically get the little miniature of a toad replacing your character. You can only move 1 square at a time. You've got to drop everything you're carrying.
Right.
So you're like, when you're no longer a toad, you've lost all your equipment, and other players are trying to get all your magical equipment and stuff.
All right.
It's such a fun game. It's they play it a lot in Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you ever watched that.
No. Well, I've seen it, but no, I didn't realize they played. I can't remember an episode where they play games, but yeah.
But yeah. So
this whole. So when you do these kinds of weekends, do you is it? Because the idea is that you're kind of a chill out weekend, isn't it? And play games. Are you playing games like most of the time, or are you just kind of like? Oh, you are. All right.
Yeah. Well, for example, I mean, we do like most weekends when we're all free. We'll do gaming around mine. So we'll start at like 12. I'll do lunch, like hot dogs and that, and then we'll crack open a few whatever board game we want to play, and then that will take us right up into the evening. So you're basically gaming all sort of afternoon into the early evening, and then you sort of stop around 7 and have a bit of dinner. Sometimes you need to go back to the game depending on what you're playing, if it's a long game or not. Like we've got this game called I can never remember the proper title, but it's Betrayal on House on the Hill.
All right.
So you're all these people that go into a haunted house, and you move around the house exploring it, and as you explore, you put cards down to build up the map of the house as you go along.
Okay.
And there's certain things, you walk into this room, and something bad, so you draw a card, and For example, you'll see a ghostly figure of yourself from the future that gives you something to, and then that gives you fear points and sanity checks and all that. But then what happens is that something throughout, about halfway through the game, the haunt begins. So it means that basically, right, one of you has to become the traitor, similar to that, but you know who the traitor is. So then he's got a secret, like, objective, and you, as the rest of the players, have got another objective, and then you've all got to try and get out of this house and escape. It's a fun game, and there's like 200 different scenarios. So depending on what combination of equipment you've got and who was the last one to do the roll of the dice to call what's called the haunt, is you turn to different pages, and it gives you like a whole different like story. It's quite a fun little game, actually.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would enjoy. The thing for me is, I've got a few games that are kind of games that take 10 hours.
Yeah,
And
our games will take like 10 odd hours, or they're long games. Like that is well, that could be done in like an afternoon.
yeah,
Talisman, Talisman could, if you use a lot of the expansions, because you've got like, you can extend the board by putting corner expansions on it with other realms.
all right.
That can take like 5 hours.
God. Yeah,
Um,
and this is the problem. Like setting aside that amount of time. Obviously, I've got
yeah,
kids, so it's like it becomes more difficult, isn't it? To maybe when they get a bit older, we'll be able to go right. Let's play some cool games, guys. At
well,
the
you could
minute,
come round to one of my gaming weekends. That's
yeah.
all day. Like we'd do the whole day. Like we've got some really good games, like Mansions of Madness. It's got big old miniatures and things, and
Hmm.
that's like another love. We like the Lovecraft games,
Yeah.
um, but when we've got some two-player stuff as well, like God Tier. That's a really good game. It's got
Mm,
like these little miniatures that you've basically both fighting for objectives on the board, and you've both got different spells and abilities and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like my favourite character is this big, massive monster called Grimgut, and he's like a big swelling stomach, and his special ability is that he can spew out these little minions. So he
All right.
pukes up digested food that are these little figure things that you can use. Um, and then he can roll, like if he wants one of his abilities to roll, so he can roll in a straight line, more squares and stuff like that. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of like chess, kind of a strategy working against each other.
All
But I
right.
would say that the most complicated game I think we've played, and it's only a two-player though, it's War of the Ring. So like a
Oh,
massive Lord of the Rings game. So
yeah.
you've got like, it takes so long to set up. You've got all of the armies of Middle Earth. One of you will play the Freemen, and one of and controlling the hobbits, whilst the other one is playing Sauron. So obviously, as Sauron, your objective is to find the ring and to win the war. Where the objective of basically the Freemen is to try and get the ring to Mordor whilst defending against Sauron's massive armies.
Yeah.
But that takes a long time to play. Fun game though.
Yeah, that's the problem. Even sort of single games, because I've got too many projects going on. I
Mm.
I start something and then I might not do it for another week, and then I'm kind of like, oh, I need to start it again, sort of thing. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
I know. That is what you do. Tend to be like a dog chasing a shiny ball.
Yeah, it's so true.
But
I got too many things going on. Music is one thing I'll really concentrate on in the minute. And coming into the new year, I want to get the rest of my comic books all finished, done, and then
yes.
I'll basically have one sort of graphic novel. I've finished the story, the plot. I just need to get it all written up for the artist really.
So you're thinking about your comic, right?
Mm.
There's what you'd actually find quite interesting. We do like Call of Cthulhu, which is it's like a role playing game. If you think Dungeons and Dragons, but it's set in 1920s America,
Hmm.
where your character's like an investigator or a reporter or a policeman and stuff like that. And what you can have though, you can have it in different eras. So what I've seen is people are doing like modern era Call of Cthulhu. So imagine like your comic, The Brink, with like you could have like a team of investigators that have come together, like within the Brink,
Yeah.
investigating some kind of evil monster that's been spotted on the moors, and you
Mm.
can sort of like you can even have it set. I was thinking about doing like a Call of Cthulhu modern day set within the area that I live and stuff like that. Quite
Ah,
fun.
that would be quite cool. Yeah.
And I think that would fit like the idea you could do one of those scenarios based on one of your comics.
Yeah.
Because it's that sort of thing, isn't it? Like with the I can't remember the name of the creature that eats spines now. The cryptoid, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have
Just
it
the urban
investigating the
cryptid.
cryptoid, the urban cryptoid. Yeah, you could have it investigating that and like coming together as a police officer and whatever.
Yeah.
So that could work as a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Ah, we'll have to discuss this more. I wonder if
Yeah.
it takes a bit. Does that take a bit of planning though, or can you literally just here's the general gist and let's go for it?
Well, you'd obviously have to come up with the idea of what the you want the adventure to be or how it's going to unfold. But for example, that you could either have like a long campaigns that take forever, like D&D. But I'm buying like one-shot adventures, so you can run it in like an afternoon or a day. So you'd
Hmm.
only want to do a simple one like that. But the thing what I like about the Call of Cthulhu, and this is where I think your one would work really well. If so, you know, with was it issue 3 or 4 where you did that little notebook thing with all the little
Oh yeah,
extras.
yeah. It was three, I
So
think.
yeah, oh, it might have been 3. So with the Call of Cthulhu, when I ran this game, I found these handouts so I could print out like newspapers, headlines and articles, letters, someone's last will and testament and things, so
Hmm.
that when people are the idea is more of a mystery. So when people are, I'm going to go to the library and investigate um, any stories I can find about this house we're investigating. So they've got to do these role library check to see if they're good at researching. And if
Hmm.
they're successful, like, here you go, you find this. And then you hand them over like a newspaper cutout with like done like a 1920s newspaper.
Hmm.
And they're sort of like your investigators are reading over it. Like, oh, look, it says here that, and they learn clues through the handouts you're giving them.
Mm.
And I
That's a
think you
yeah,
designing them would actually work really well for your comic series. Like if you did
yeah,
your own.
yeah. Because one of me, I think thinking about it, it could have been issue 4 actually, Kev. But I'd you could buy a more kind of beefed up version of the issue, and in it I printed off little I like designed them and printed off little information cards. It was supposed to kind of fit in with like doing an investigation sort of thing. And I glued these little information cards about some of the characters into the
Yeah.
comic book, so you can open the comic book and it's got little bits of paper in there, sort of in between the parts of the story, so that you can read a little bit more. Um, and I really want to do that for when I finish the whole series, and do like a mega sort of graphic novel, but not just a graphic, not just a it's just a graphic novel, but have all of these extra bits in there to make it a lot more interesting. Um, yeah, and that kind of I would love to do that actually.
Yeah, you should look into like your Call of Cthulhu stuff then, because the fact
Yeah.
is, I think it's more interesting. Like with Dungeons and Dragons, it's like, oh, you're a barbarian dwarf that's from this land of Gilgamesh and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that, or Fayon, obviously, on the Sword Coast or whatever. But here, it's realistic settings with
Yeah.
realistic people.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
oh,
from
you're just
Croydon,
like,
mate.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like you're an old retired police officer that's obviously seen some weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
So you're investigating that, and in the meantime, this newspaper student or a university student's trying to do a journalism degree wants some experience, so they team up with you to go and that's how your story starts to roll. And it's
Oh,
all
you
about
just
investigating and finding clues. So all you runners, so instead of a dungeon master, you'd be like a keeper, a
uh,
keeper of the arcane law. So you run the game. So all you're describing the settings and where they are. And when they find some clues, whatever, you've got handouts you can hand them. Like, oh yeah, you found this clue and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Cool. Oh, this is interesting. This could be another Kickstarter campaign. We need to finish our card game first, though.
Oh yeah, dusk to dawn.
Dusk to Dawn.
Um,
And right, I'm gonna that's gonna be another mission. Okay, so Dusk to Dawn is another because it's all started. Well, actually, like 3/4 of the way through it. Um,
mm,
you know what I mean? We've got the rules, we've got everything set out, we've got some of the art. I just need to finish the rest of the art.
Yeah,
So
so basically, from what I remember, each player takes on either the zombie lord
yeah,
or the vampire lord,
yeah.
and you have like
Male or
you've got a
female though, remember.
that's
I
true.
did.
You
If
had
you
a
flip the cards upside down, you could be female, or flip it the other way, could be male.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it appeals to both genders, which is good. And then yeah, what was it? You had to go and try and get dominion over these villages because it was set in the
Yeah,
land of Albion, wasn't it?
yeah,
Ancient world of Albion, and you're
yeah,
all fighting for the villagers for the control of who's going to dominate the land. I
yeah,
think you had to collect villagers or turn them either into vampires or zombies,
yeah, and
and they had like
that's
different cards you could play to stop the other player.
yeah.
Oh, as I describe it to myself, I'm like, oh, I'd play that game. Wait a minute.
But that's how you win the game. You play it. Each game kind of represented an hour of night, didn't it? And
Yeah,
and at
from
the end of
dusk to
your
dawn.
yeah, from dusk till dawn. I think we sort of worked out like a 10-hour period or something, didn't we? So 10 games, um, and uh, however, depending on however many games you've won, you get extra cards for the last battle, the final battle.
Yeah, because
Um,
it's stronger, aren't you? You get
yeah,
it represents you getting stronger with the more
yeah,
cards, and the weaker one's going to have less cards to throw at you. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a hand limit, wasn't there?
Uh-huh. There was a really good card, which was a special card, which you could use to reverse to completely reverse roles. So if Kev, if you were winning, if you were thrashing me in a game, and I came across this card, I
Oh
could use it,
yeah,
flip roles, and all of a sudden I'm the one winning instead.
yeah,
Magical card that one.
yeah. That's right. The zombie bites the vampire, and the vampire becomes the bloody zombie lord,
Yeah,
and the zombie's infected by the vampire. Like, oh,
yeah,
hang on, I'm a vampire now. Yeah,
yeah. See, we would have to read the rules again, though, wouldn't we? To go, oh yeah, I remember now. We haven't even looked at it
yeah.
for probably how many years?
3 years,
3 years or
four
something. Yeah,
years.
yeah. I even put it on to a few forums.
Yeah,
The
I
game
did as well.
the
Yeah.
game in for yeah, and there was a bit of feedback. I think some of them wanted um it printable so that they could test it out. So I mean, there's always people out there that are willing to check it out and give it a go.
Yeah, I think the only thing you have to develop more on that, I'm thinking more sort of cards that might be advantages or disadvantages to each other. Like, oh, I've got the Holy Cross, so I can play that against the vampire, which we already had. Or
Yeah,
yeah, like
we had
yeah,
that. We had the cards were similar, but they affected different characters in different ways, didn't they? So we had Holy Water, yeah, the Holy Cross. Can't remember now. There was a stake as well
yeah.
for the vampire. For the zombie though, it wasn't like it's probably something. I'm sure at some point I've written down
Fire or
chainsaw.
something,
Yeah, there
or
was fire, chainsaw, or gun or something. Um, yeah, so I think we had it pretty covered because I played it with Emma quite a few times and she really liked it.
yeah. I played it with my mate a couple of times, and
Yeah,
he was like, oh, that's actually quite good.
yeah. Just need to get the artwork done. Oh, let's get on it. Let's do it.
Yeah, there you go. It inspired you, but well, that will take me on to the next bit. So, moving on from my windy weekend down in Dover,
Hmm.
and that wasn't about the food, a comment on the food there or anything. It was the weather. Well, I went to Dragon's Meet gaming convention a
Oh
couple of
yeah.
weeks ago, and they have a lot of people there that they are creating their own games like we're doing here, and they
Mm.
like let you have a look to see if you want to buy it or invest in it.
Cool.
Imagine
So
having a stall at Dragon's Meet.
yeah, that'd be awesome. So what happens then? Do you have to sort of do you just pitch it to people, or do you just display your stuff and people ask you about it, and then do
They
they?
had people, yeah, people had a stall there, and there was a independent. You had a lot of games people there that were like proper, like established games and things. But then you had like people that were like, oh, they've just designed this game. They're trying to like flog their game to people, and they're like, they can demonstrate it for people if you want to have a go and see how, like, oh, how's that work?
Yeah.
Or they've like, you can buy this artwork here, and you could also support the game and stuff like that.
Ah, cool. So in a way, is it like a an in-person Kickstarter as well?
Kind of, yeah, yeah, like yeah, it's pretty much like I took a few leaflets about. some people are like, oh, what's it? This guy was developing this a game thing. It's similar to Thousand-Year-Old Vampire. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Um, it
No.
it's like journaling game where it's
Ah.
basically like different crows of different abilities and that, and you work your way through it's a bit hard to describe, but it was a game that he was designing and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
You should next time they do Dragonmeet, which it seems to be every sort of December-y time,
All right.
start of December. You should come down to it and have a look.
Shall
But
we?
they
Well,
also,
how about this then, Kev? How about we set a target, like a goal, like for us to actually have a stall at Dragonmeet next year?
right, that'd be pretty cool.
Let's do it.
Especially as you've normally got Sir Ian Livingstone has a stall there normally, so I've
Oh,
met him
cool.
there a couple of times. So obviously, fighting fantasy books.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't see him in the last one I went to, but I did. They had. Do you remember the Lone Wolf books? I might have mentioned them before. They're like a
Uh-huh. Yeah.
1980s choose your own adventure book, and they
Yeah.
started to re-release them in hardback editions. So the original writer Joe Dever, he's died, but his son's taken over the right the publishing of the books
Mm.
and the republishing. So Ben Dever, so I met him, got his autograph in the book. The year before that, there was an artist called Gary Chalk that was there. He did a lot of the illustrations in the books back in the 80s, and he
Uh-huh.
did a load of fantasy artwork. Like he did the original artwork for Talisman board game, because Talisman was a game that was originally in the 80s, and it's still being reprinted now.
Yeah.
So obviously he's not the artist now, but so they had a lot of big sort of names there in the old gaming community.
Well, did you hear about the? You've just reminded me. Did you hear about the guy um, who he wrote it's kind of like fan fiction, but he wrote like a follow up to the Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah.
Um, did you hear about him?
Yes. Yeah. Is this the guy that got tried to sue the Rings of Power?
Yeah.
And
So
then they basically are suing him now.
yeah. So a court ordered that all of his books are destroyed.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Um,
Yeah. He should have kept his mouth shut. He tried to sue the Rings of Power
yeah.
because it's the same of his book that, yeah, but mate, you're right. In fact, you haven't got permission to publish Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Because his was called the Fellowship of the King.
Yeah, the Fellowship of the King.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's like royally backfired.
Yeah, I mean that he could never have published that. You're taking like intellectual property.
Well, you can't. So if you're writing fan fiction, you can't publish
Oh,
stuff,
you
can
can't
you?
profit. Yeah, but you can't profit from it.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
otherwise I'll write my own little sequel to the Lord of the Rings and I'll make money because it's got Lord of the Rings title on it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But you could get permission though, couldn't you? Like it would probably be.
Unlikely to get permission from Lord of the
Well,
Rings
yeah,
estate,
that's
the
one thing,
Tolkien
isn't it?
estate.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? So if I'd written a really successful book, and I had loads of people who wanted to write other little stories and all that, I would I would have to approve the stories to make sure that they're not absolute rubbish, right? But I would be quite happy for people to make money off it.
Ah, well, this is interesting. So going back to H.P. Lovecraft, who did the Cthulhu mythos,
Hmm.
he allowed other people to use his like works to write their own books, and it's where the Cthulhu mythos comes from because other people have added to the whole lore of what he originally wrote in like the 1920s.
Mm,
So he was allowing that to happen back then.
yeah.
The thing is now with obviously Lovecraft work is beyond it's over like 100 years old, so it's in the public domain. So you can use stuff like Arkham in your own work, which is why
Okay.
you've got Batman uses
That's
the term Arkham
well
because
that
it's Lovecraft.
well that's right. I actually remember a few months ago when it was sometime this year they were talking about um how they were rewriting old books and with sensitivity writers and there was a big sort of thing about it. Well, apparently, they do that because they want to keep the cop
The copyright, so
the
they
cop.
change it slightly.
Yeah, so that it maintains its copyright, so it doesn't become a story that runs out and then anyone can kind of use it. I suppose
Yeah,
that might be
so
the same with Lord of the Rings.
yeah, I mean it's like with the Arkham horror games, they can use all those trademarks. Well, they're not really, they're in public domain, like Arkham, Cthulhu, and all that.
Hmm.
But there's certain, because they've copyrighted certain elements for their games, which are slightly different. You can't just copy their games or anything.
Yeah,
But if you want to do like this is funny. So do you know Night of the Living Dead,
yeah.
George Romero? He didn't do the copyright properly on it, so it's in the
Oh,
public domain. So you could write the novelization of Night of the Living Dead and not get sued.
really? Has don't
Yeah,
somebody must have tried it then?
yeah. Well, there's I think the Walking Dead, they were originally going to call it the Living Dead,
Uh-huh.
basing it on like the Romero thing because there's no copyright on that.
So
Like
it's
in the
not.
80s, there was. Do you remember the film Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were like using the Living Dead from Romero. It's a different franchise, but oh,
Ah,
we can use the titles and stuff like that. So
right.
it was a mistake they made on the copywriting, which is why you can have various publishing houses will release Night of the Living Dead because it hasn't got the right copyright, so
So
you can
if
make money off it.
we went ahead right now and wrote Night of the Living Dead
Yeah,
based on them, then
yeah.
that nothing could be done.
No,
We would.
because it's entered into the public domain in the same way that if you wrote a story of like H.P. Lovecraft or anything like that,
Hmm.
it, it's not like there's no estate. There's still the Tolkien estate that will hold the copyright still. Whereas I
Mm.
think even with Charles Dickens or Shakespeare, yeah, no one holds the Shakespeare estate. Like Shakespeare gets paid, or his family get paid royalties from all that work. So you could publish a complete works of Shakespeare and make money from that.
Mm. Well, let's do it. Why aren't we doing this?
Because everyone else is. That's the
Everyone
problem.
else is, yeah. Thing is though, when you've got a passion for something, you don't want to be ripping other things off, do you? I
No,
mean,
no.
I mean, some people say that everyone's ideas aren't new anyway because they're just a kind of a reinvention of something that has gone before. But
But I think in one of my books that I'm writing at the moment, I actually wanted a really creepy kind of like book title from this ancient book that's describing ancient gods and things in it, right? And I thought, oh, Vermis de Mysterious, which is like an ancient creepy volume from H.P. Lovecraft. So I've used that because the title's not copyrighted. The Mystery of the Worm, roughly translated. In one of the novels that I'm writing at the moment,
mhm,
I wanted an ancient, creepy sounding book because in my story, it's talking about like these ancient gods from like before mankind, kind of similar to Lovecraft type stuff. So a whole kind of like some weird worship of these ancient gods. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I use one of the book names from H.P. Lovecraft? So obviously Necronomicon would be too obvious, but there's
mhm,
one called De Vermis Mysteries, which is
mhm.
translated as Mystery of the Worm. So I just wanted like a creepy sounding book that will describe these ancient kind of deities and things. But it's not copyrighted, so you can do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you see, that's kind of a like a nice
A
nod.
homage.
Nod. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a nod to
it's a
like a,
nod
yeah.
because it's that sort of dark kind of mystery things. I'm like, you know what? Without H.P. Lovecraft, you wouldn't have even had a lot of these kind of stuff around. So you got a lot to thank him for. I mean, bit of a strange bloke, a little bit racist, but it was the 1920s. I think you've got to forgive a lot of his old ancient racist views.
It's like you would forgive your old granddad or something for his old views.
Yeah, like he grew up in the 19 he was living in the 1920s in America, and he had a problem and he wrote quite a lot and wrote them in a negative light, what he
Uh-huh.
would describe as brown people and foreigners.
Uh-huh.
um it's the thing is though, it's like a thing of the times. You can't you it's like even if you play Call of Cthulhu, you've got to recognise that the setting is 1920s America.
Yeah,
Attitudes were different. It's a thing of the time.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, talking about sort of mysterious type stuff, I've got a game and I haven't opened it yet, but I funded it on Kickstarter probably about a year and a half ago. It's called Doomensions, and it's like an interactive pop-up puzzle game.
Oh yeah, is this the haunted house thing you said?
Yeah. So I mean, it looks really cool. It's like part puzzle escape, part sort of mystery. So it says on here that it's 1 to 4 players, and it can take between 10 and 15 hours to complete. You get a mystery map with which has got 8 rooms. So if you imagine uh a pop up kind of split into 4 corners, if you know what I mean. And it's got an upstairs and a downstairs. So there's your 4 rooms on each corner, or 2 rooms on each corner, if that makes sense. And you get, I mean, ages ago, I got an envelope through the post with like a sort of a mini mystery thing, which is all linked to the main game. And aside from the game, which I haven't even opened yet, I've got an envelope with stuff in it, but it says she wanted me to give you this. Open it last. Mm.
Oh.
So I'm not going to open that yet, but I think you get inside. You get like an investigation dossier with 5 cases to solve. You get like a metal artifact. It's called a magnifying glass, a hint booklet, exclusive notepad. Oh yeah, instruction manual and an exclusive pencil. Woo-hoo. But it looks really good, and I know that because I've been listening to their updates and stuff. I know that they've worked really hard at making it, a robust sort of. It needs
Is
to
it
be.
solo play?
It's solo play and 1 to 4 players. So
So there's
yeah,
a mystery to solve of each room and whatnot.
yeah. So
It's like an escapey room thing with
yeah.
puzzles.
Yeah, the thing is though, I know that my youngest, if I did pop it up in the living room or something, it would end up getting wrecked. So I don't really want to do that yet. So I might play it with Emma, and then it might keep us going. You know what I mean? Like keep the story kind of going, and then because she might be like, "Oh, do you want to finish that game?" Instead of me going, "Damn it, I haven't played it for 2 weeks. I'm gonna have to start again."
Yeah, you want to keep going with it.
Yeah.
That sounds actually quite interesting.
But it looks really good. The people that have put it together, like I said, this like worked really hard at it and everything. It's a like a these things are like passion projects, aren't they? A bit like our Dusk to
Yeah,
Dawn. Sometimes they take a long time to finish finally, and sometimes you only get halfway through, and then 10 years later you'll go, I must finish that project that I started.
yeah. I have a friend that backs a lot of Kickstarter game projects, and he's
Yeah,
got a lot. The thing is, if you back the Kickstarter, you get like a load of extras with it as well.
yeah,
Um, he backed a game recently called Oathsworn. I
mm,
kid you not, it came in like 4 big boxes. They were so heavy, you had to carry each box individually. They were
yeah.
packed full of miniatures and things.
This Doomensions comes in a heavy box as well. It's not your
Yeah,
typical board game. You definitely, it's and you would think, oh, it's a pop up thing, but actually they've clearly made it out of like heavy duty cardboard or whatever. But
yeah.
there's another game I uh, backed on Kickstarter as well. It's called uh, Realm, and that's another
I don't know that.
card game. The only I've never actually played it seriously yet. I've played it with I played it with my 6-year-old, and we made up the rules. But he loved the artwork on it, and we just sort of battled each other. Um, just made it up.
Fair enough. Who needs rules?
Exactly. Who needs rules? So that was fun. But the artwork on it is absolutely fantastic, and they're kind of cards that are big, kind of like tarot cards size. That kind of
Uh,
that kind of game, rather than ordinary card size. But
yeah,
there's
no, that
so
sounds
many
pretty
good games
cool.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, we put a ban on buying any new games because we've got too many games that we like. Oh, we'll try it. This is a great game. Next
Yeah.
week we've got a new game to try, and then you're like, well, we're playing that game. What about that game? And then we don't go back to it for ages.
Yeah. Maybe one day we could grab a game that we've never played and film
Mm.
it, put it on YouTube
Yeah,
for
yeah,
anyone
there you go.
listening. They might find that might be too geeky, that might be too nerdy. I don't know.
I'd love. There's a few games. I mean, I'd love to get you round to play some Talisman game because that's just a funny, not difficult game to play.
Yeah, that's
Um,
my kind of game. Not difficult. I'll be like,
yeah,
what?
it's a
I don't get it. I don't get the rules.
we'll ease you into that one, and then we'll get one of the more complicated games out. It'll be like, no, now check your stat against that. No, that dice, the other dice.
Why have we got
Go
seven?
against that stat. No, I don't understand.
What's this dice with like 20 corners?
So you don't have to worry about that one yet. Just roll the one with the 20, the 30 corners.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah. No, that stat block, not that math, that number. Deduct it from the total of that. No, that total. I don't understand.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
we do. We've got another game actually that's quite a fun game. It's if I describe it, you think, how does that work as a board game? It's Formula D,
hmm
and it's basically a Formula car racing game, Formula One car racing game.
yeah,
And then you've got it's so funny. You've got the track, you've got little cars, and what it is you've got like these gears. So your first gear is a three-sided dice. Second gear is like a six-sided dice. Third gear you start getting into like a 10-sided. Then you go all the way to the sixth gear, which is like a 20-sided or 30-sided dice or something stupid like that.
yeah,
So obviously, what happens is if you're in a really sixth gear, you're going really fast. So you roll a dice, you could get like 30. So you move 30 squares with your car. But the problem is that you've got a corner coming up there, and on certain corners you have to stop twice within certain corners. So if
ah,
you overshoot the corner by being in that rolling too high a number, so as soon as you come up to a corner, you've got to go to a lower gear. So you've got to roll like you're only going to get maximum of maybe 3 on that dice roll because you've got to stop a certain number of times. And then someone might decide, I'm going to take this up fast, I'm going to risk it in a higher gear. And they might be in fourth gear, but roll like at the middle level of that dice. So they get around there in a jammy way. So you can either like blow your car to smithereens or just
yeah.
take it slow around. It's a really funny game, actually.
There,
Formula D.
there are so many. I think so many good games. I've just actually found one, which I totally forgot about. It's called Jailbird. It's another
Not heard
card
of that.
game, laying down the law. You and your
Oh.
you and your bird friends have committed horrible crimes, but not very well. In the
Yeah, because
deck
you
of
got
cards,
caught.
there are evidence cards which prove you have committed these crimes. So you can see how the game kind of might unfold. Um,
One of you has really committed the crime or something, or who's really the villain, is it, or something like that,
Must
maybe?
be, yeah. You play the game by putting the deck face down. At the end of a police raid, each player reveals the number of evidence cards they have. The player with the most number of evidence cards goes to jail and that's out of the game. Another fun, probably quick kind of game, but they're the kind of games I can kind of cope with at the minute.
There's another game you'd quite like, actually, Mysterium. One of you plays a silent ghost, and
Ah,
you've been murdered, and the other players are like clairvoyants who have got to work out who murdered you. And you
ah,
do this, so you have like the suspects and the murder weapon where it happened in behind your screen, and you've got to give visions to the clairvoyants to try and make them work out what it is you're trying to communicate. So you give them like a vision card.
hmm
Like you might say they're really abstract artwork. So it'll be a picture of like an overflowing bath melting into the floor or something. But it could be you need them to focus on the colour white within it. So they might see water. Oh, you're trying to describe water. Like, no, I need you to. So you put another card down that might have a colour, a weird picture, but it's got another white colour in it. It's like, look at the colour white because they're trying to match it up with the possible combination that they've got. So then I want you not to forget water. It's white I need you to look at. So it's kind of like actual clairvoyancy.
What?
They've it's really funny. It's hard to explain, but you're
Yeah.
basically like you're literally like, I need you to pick the. So it's basically the card that you need to pick from that level to work out where the crime happened. It's like in the garden. So gardens are green. But all the cards I've got in my vision deck, there's no garden card. However,
Oh, I
oh,
see.
there'll be like someone wearing a green cape, or someone's like got a
This
glass
is
of green juice. So
so
you
it's like
put that down, and they're like, they might think, oh, they're talking about glass. They try, no, the color. And then you put another one down, a green cape, but that person in the green cape might be holding up a glass. Like, yeah, it's definitely glass. It
this
must be
is
the
like
greenhouse.
this is like a more interesting version of Guess Who.
Kind of, yeah, it is
Yeah.
kind of, but you're not allowed to speak as the ghost. All you can
Ah,
do is abstract vision cards. They're like really nice art, and they're like, so you might be thinking it's obvious what I want you to focus on, but they're like, I don't get what you're. And they're like, yeah, he's definitely means it's like the lounge because of that. It's a funny game actually.
that sounds good. Uh,
Uh,
well, there you go.
Mysterium.
Mysterium. Well, this is our last episode before Christmas, and Kev, you're gonna love this, right? But when we come back after Christmas, it's gonna be our 21st episode,
Oh, it's an
and that
anniversary.
yeah, because what that means is we've reached a point that a lot of people who do podcasts never reach.
Wow.
Okay, remember we've talked about this before, but like, if you get past 3 episodes, you're doing better than like 75% of these aren't, don't quote us on this, but 75% of people that start podcasts. Um, but once you get hardly anybody goes past 21 episodes. So
Wow.
we're
That'll
almost
please
there.
all three of our listeners,
Yes. Well done.
whoever you are.
You've managed to like get through. Listen and go, these guys are so dumb. But
Congratulations for listening to all 20 so far. Your prize is pride and achievement.
you're very proud of yourself. Hopefully we'll provide something a bit interesting. Hopefully. Um, so yeah, so well, here we are. You've been listening to Kevin Steve on Nerds Talk 2. Subscribe to our podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, Audible, Overcast, put on YouTube sometimes and Rumble, and but you can also find my stuff at stevensweeney.co.uk and check out my comic book at brinkcasefiles.com. Kevin?
Oh, and your music that's out now. You've
Oh
got a.
yeah, yeah. I've got a song out. I've got another song on its way as well. I did a lyrics video which is on YouTube. If you look for Unfolding World.
Oh, I didn't know there was a lyrics video. I'll look for that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I might even put it in the description of this episode. And I've got another song coming out probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. And then and I'm gonna try and stay consistent and bring at least one out every month.
Awesome.
Like I said, I've got too many projects going on, but I do manage my time well. So
Yeah.
so yeah, the website's not up and running yet, but it's unfoldingworld.com. But you can find us on Twitter, and you can find Unfolding World on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all of those.
Do you mean X?
X, formerly known as Twitter, as a lot of people keep saying. But officially, my first song officially released across like all platforms. It's called "Don't Look at Me Now," and it's kind of like a conversation, a one-way conversation between a serial killer and online narcissists.
It's child friendly.
It's child friendly. There's no swearing in this one. I don't really put a lot of swearing in my songs anyway, but if there is swearing, it'll be the odd word. But but yeah, there's no swearing in this song, so it's fine. It's fine.
I'd let my child listen to it if I had a child.
Yes, blast it in their ears.
Yeah.
Listen to his music. Revel in his glory.
This is a thing of the devil.
I wish I could make a deal with the devil. He's just not
Mm.
around. He's just not around. I don't think he exists.
Well, if you don't believe in the devil, at least the devil believes in you. Take comfort in that.
And on that note, we shall see you in the new year. Laters.
May the force be with you, and happy Christmas.